My daughter called another woman Mommy. She has my eyes. I never knew she existed. 6 months ago, my entire world shattered in an Italian restaurant over chicken nuggets and a crayon drawing of jellyfish. But let me back up, because this story does not start there. It starts 4 years earlier, when the woman I loved vanished without a trace, and I spent every day since believing I was the reason she left. My name is Caspian Thornwood. I come from old money, the kind that builds hospital wings and endows university chairs. The kind that opens doors and creates obligations in equal measure. My mother, Cordelia Thornwood Aldridge, rules our social circle with calculated precision and absolutely zero tolerance for anything that threatens the family legacy. She never approved of Saraphina, not for a single second. And 4 years ago, Saraphina disappeared from our apartment without explanation. No note, no goodbye. Just empty closets and silence that screamed louder than any argument we had ever had. I searched for months, hired investigators, called in favors, found nothing. Eventually I accepted what seemed obvious. She had left because I was not enough, because our love could not compete with whatever freedom she was running toward. I was wrong about everything. Have you ever discovered a truth so devastating that it rewrote your entire history? Have you ever realized that the story you believed about your life was actually a carefully constructed lie? That is what happened to me on a random Saturday when my younger brother convinced me to have lunch at a place I had been avoiding for 4 years. The restaurant was Marcello's, small Italian place with red checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. Saraphina and I used to go there when we were happy, when we were building something real, before everything fell apart. I should never have agreed to meet Dorian there. But grief makes you do strange things. Sometimes you seek out the pain, because at least it feels like something. I arrived early, ordered wine, sat with my back to the wall, watching families enjoy their Saturday dinners while I waited for my brother to show up late like he always did. And then I heard a voice that stopped my heart. Her voice. Mommy, Mommy, look, they have the chicken nuggets. I turned toward the sound without thinking. Saraphina stood 15 feet away, shorter hair than I remembered, thinner, but unmistakably her, and beside her, holding her hand with complete trust, was a little girl in a pink dress, a little girl with grey-green eyes that were exact copies of mine. The wine glass slipped in my hand. I caught it before it fell, but the room was spinning and I could not breathe and nothing made sense. She was alive. Here, real, with my daughter. A daughter I never knew existed. The little girl said something. Saraphina lifted her onto her hip with practiced ease. Natural, like she had done this thousands of times while I was grieving and searching and dying slowly in an empty apartment. Mommy, I want the chicken nuggets. That word, Mommy, delivered in that innocent, trusting voice, it detonated something in my chest. For 4 years, I believed I had failed Saraphina, that our love was not strong enough, that I had driven her away through some fundamental inadequacy I could not identify or fix. But watching her there, watching our child, I understood with sudden, brutal clarity. She had not left me. She had been taken from me, and the person responsible shared my blood. If you are new here, welcome. If you have been here before, thank you for coming back. This story contains betrayal, manipulation, and the kind of family secrets that destroy lives. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what you are about to hear will stay with you long after this video ends. Trust me, you will not want to miss what happens next. But before I tell you about that restaurant, about the moment everything changed, you need to understand how I got there. You need to know who I was before Saraphina, who I became because of her, and what I lost when she disappeared. So, let me take you back to the beginning. Back to when I thought I understood what love meant. Back to before I knew that monsters do not always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like family. The morning of the restaurant discovery started like every other morning for the past 4 years. I woke up at 5:30 in a bed I hated, in an apartment I had chosen specifically because it held no memories. 43 floors above the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a view that cost more per month than most people earned in a year. The penthouse was everything my mother had wanted for me after Saraphina left. "You need a fresh start," Cordelia had insisted. "That cramped brownstone was fine for playing house, but you are a Thornwood Aldridge. It is time to live like one." So I moved, let her hire decorators who filled the space with furniture I never chose and art I never looked at. 3,000 square feet of marble and chrome and absolutely nothing that felt like home. I stood at the window with cold coffee, watching rain hammer against the glass. Below, the city was waking up. People rushing to work, cars honking, life moving forward the way it always did, indifferent to individual suffering. Up here, everything was still, silent, empty. My reflection stared back at me from the window. 32 years old but looking older. Good suit, expensive watch, hair that cost $200 to cut. Every inch the successful heir to a family fortune, hollow inside. On my desk, half hidden behind quarterly reports and market analyses, sat a photograph. 5 by 7 inches. Silver frame, the only personal item in the entire apartment. Saraphina and me at a farmer's market. She was laughing at something, head thrown back, completely unguarded. I was looking at her instead of the camera. The photographer had captured something true, the way I looked at her like she was the only real thing in my world. Because she was. I kept the photo face down most days. Looking at it hurt too much, but I could not throw it away. Could not pack it in a box and pretend those months had not existed. My phone buzzed. Text from Dorian. "Lunch today. Marcello's. 1 p.m. Do not even think about cancelling." I stared at the message. Marcello's. Of all the restaurants in the city, he chose that one. I should have said no. Should have suggested anywhere else. But 4 years of grief had worn me down to nothing, and fighting my brother over lunch location required energy I did not have. Fine. Another text appeared. From Mother. "Board meeting Tuesday. Attendance mandatory. We need to discuss the Henderson acquisition." No greeting. No pleasantries. Just commands delivered with the assumption of obedience. I set down the phone without responding. The apartment felt smaller suddenly, despite its ridiculous square footage. The walls closing in. I needed to leave. Needed to be somewhere, anywhere else. I grabbed my jacket and keys. The rain had not stopped. If anything, it was falling harder. I drove across town without destination, just movement. Just the illusion of going somewhere when really I was running in place. Work used to be my escape. 14-hour days. 16. 18. If I was working, I was not thinking, not feeling, not drowning in questions that had no answers. But lately, even work felt pointless. Making money I did not need. Building an empire I did not care about. Playing a role in someone else's story. I ended up at Lincoln Park without consciously deciding to go there. Our old neighborhood. The brownstone Saraphina and I had renovated together was 3 blocks away. I had sold it 18 months after she left. Could not stand being there anymore. Every room was haunted. I parked across from the small coffee shop where we used to get breakfast on Sundays. It was still there. Same green awning. Same handwritten menu board. Different lives inside. People who did not know that 4 years ago, a woman used to laugh there while stealing bites of my pancakes. People living their ordinary days, unaware they were occupying space that used to mean something. I checked my phone. 11:30. Still had time before meeting Dorian. I did not know why I had come here. What I expected to find. Ghosts do not leave forwarding addresses. But sitting there, watching rain blur the windows, I felt something I had not felt in years. The faintest whisper of hope that maybe, just maybe, there were answers out there somewhere. That Saraphina had not simply stopped loving me and walked away. That there was more to the story than I understood. I was right about that. I just had no idea how much more, or how badly it was going to hurt when I found out. Let me take you back 6 years, to the night everything started. The Pemberton Foundation Gala, annual charity event, $500 per plate. Silent auction featuring items nobody needed, but everyone bid on to prove they could. String quartet playing Vivaldi, while people in designer gowns discussed stock portfolios and vacation homes. I hated these events with a passion that bordered on physical. The performance of it all. The strategic conversations masquerading as friendship. The social hierarchy that determined who spoke to whom and for how long. The unspoken rules about appropriate topics and acceptable opinions. But attendance was mandatory. Thornwood Aldridges have obligations, Mother reminded me constantly. Our presence matters. People notice when we are absent. So, I went, wore the tuxedo, made appropriate small talk, smiled at correct moments, played my role in the theater of high society. The ballroom was excessive even by our standards. Crystal chandeliers, gold leaf accents, flowers that probably cost more than I wanted to calculate arranged in towering centerpieces. Waitstaff circulated with champagne and hors d'oeuvres, invisible until needed, ignored once utilized. I was trapped in conversation with Harrison Chambers, a banking executive who believed his wealth made his opinions fascinating. He was explaining his acquisition strategy in unnecessary detail, while I nodded and calculated how much longer I needed to stay before leaving would not create gossip. That was when I noticed her. She was carrying a tray of champagne flutes, navigating through the crowd with careful efficiency. Dark hair pulled back, simple black uniform that all the catering staff wore, moving through the space like she was trying not to take up too much room. What caught my attention was her expression. She wore a mask of polite neutrality, but her eyes told a different story. Sharp, observant, watching everything while pretending to see nothing. Harrison was still talking. Something about quarterly projections and market positioning. I had completely lost the thread. Then a drunk banker, whose name I could not remember, snapped his fingers at her. Actually snapped, like summoning a dog. She turned toward him, smiled. The expression did not reach her eyes. Another scotch, top shelf, and make it quick, sweetheart. The condescension dripped from every word. Around them, people pretended not to notice, or maybe they genuinely did not care. In this world, service workers were background scenery. Of course, sir, right away. She walked toward the bar, not quickly, not slowly, deliberately measured pace, and I watched as she delivered drinks to 3 other people first, taking exactly 4 minutes before returning with his scotch. Petty rebellion, beautiful in its subtlety. When she handed him the glass, her smile was perfectly professional. I hope it was worth the wait, sir. He did not catch the edge in her voice, just grabbed the drink and turned away without acknowledgement. But I caught it, that flash of defiance, that refusal to be diminished even while wearing the uniform and playing the role. I excused myself from Harrison mid-sentence. He looked offended. I did not care. I followed her as she moved through the ballroom. Watched her interactions, the way she deflected inappropriate comments with grace, the way she helped an elderly woman find her table, the way her mask slipped for half a second when she thought nobody was looking, revealing exhaustion underneath. She stepped onto a balcony for a break, small space overlooking the city. October evening, cool enough that most guests stayed inside. I followed. She sensed my presence immediately, turned, already composing her features into professional neutrality. "Can I help you with something, sir?" "You told that banker to remember your face earlier." Her eyes narrowed slightly. I said no such thing. Not with words, but with that look you gave him, the one that said you were memorizing exactly how he treated you so you could recall it perfectly later. She studied me, reassessing. And why would I do that? Because people like him think people like you do not matter, and you were reminding yourself that he is wrong. Silence. The city hummed below us. Traffic and distant voices and life continuing indifferently. I need to get back to work. What if I told you I could help? Help with what? Whatever you are running from. Her expression hardened. You do not know anything about me. I know you are overqualified for this job. I know you are working it anyway because you need money quickly and cannot afford to be selective. I know you are scared of something, but trying very hard not to show it. And I know you just spent the last 3 hours serving people who did not see you as human, and you are exhausted from the performance. She stared at me. Who are you? Someone who understands what it feels like to wear a mask until you forget what your real face looks like. That is quite a line. It is not a line, it is an observation. She turned away, looking out at the city. What do you want from me? Nothing. I want to offer you something. Men like you do not offer things without expecting returns. Men like me, rich, powerful, used to getting what you want. You are right about 2 of those things, but you are wrong about the 3rd. I rarely get what I actually want. She glanced back at me. Then what do you want? To have one genuine conversation tonight, no performance, no strategic networking, just 2 people talking honestly. Why? Because I have been to 100 events exactly like this one, and I have never had a single authentic interaction at any of them, and I thought maybe you might understand what that feels like. She considered this, calculating, weighing risks against potential benefits. I get off at midnight. There is a diner 2 blocks from here. Good coffee, terrible pie, open 24 hours. You know a lot about diners for someone who probably has a private chef. I know a lot about places where nobody expects me to perform. The smallest smile touched her lips. First genuine expression I had seen from her all night. Maybe. If I decide to show up. Fair enough. I pulled a business card from my pocket, handed it to her. She looked at it, then at me. Caspian Thornwood. Should I be impressed? Probably not. Good. I do not impress easily. She pocketed the card and walked back inside, leaving me on that balcony alone. I stayed at the gala another hour, fulfilled my obligations, made the expected rounds, and the entire time I kept thinking about eyes that refused to look diminished and a smile that hid defiance. She called 3 days later. Her name was Saraphina Marlowe, and she was about to change my life completely. Her name was Saraphina Marlowe, 24 years old, and she was running from a monster, not a metaphorical monster, an actual one who happened to look human. Victor Crane. She told me about him slowly, over weeks. In fragments, she could manage to speak without her voice breaking. In that diner with terrible pie and endless coffee, sitting across from each other in a corner booth while the city moved around us, she gave me pieces of a story that made me understand exactly what kind of courage it took for her to sit there at all. They had married when she was 21, fresh out of community college, working 2 jobs, trying to save enough to move to the city and start her teaching career. He was 35, established, charming. He worked in pharmaceutical sales, drove an expensive car, and paid attention to her in ways nobody had before. He made me feel seen, she said. Special, like I was the most important person in his world. I did not understand that was part of the trap. The first 6 months were perfect. Romantic dinners, thoughtful gifts. He listened when she talked about her dreams of teaching, encouraged her ambitions. Then they got married. It changed the day we came back from our honeymoon, Saraphina said, stirring her coffee without drinking it. Like a switch flipped, suddenly everything I did was wrong. How I dressed, how I talked, how I existed. The control started small. Suggestions about what to wear. Opinions about her friends being bad influences. She believed him because she wanted to believe he cared. The isolation came next. Slow removal of everyone who might notice changes, who might ask questions, who might offer escape routes. A parent sensed something was wrong, called frequently, wanted to visit. Victor always had reasons why visits were inconvenient, always manufactured conflicts right before planned trips, always made her feel guilty for wanting connection outside their marriage. By the end of the first year, she had stopped calling her parents weekly, stopped seeing friends, stopped applying to teaching positions because Victor thought it was better if she focused on being a wife first. The physical violence started 2 years in. She did not use the word abuse at first, called them incidents and arguments that got out of hand. Language that minimized. That made it sound like mutual conflict instead of deliberate harm. I did not push, just listened, and slowly the truth emerged. He hit her, threw things, locked her out of their apartment, destroyed items that mattered to her, controlled every dollar, monitored her phone, followed her when she left the house. I tried to leave twice, she said. The first time, he found me within hours, convinced me he would change, that he was sorry. I believed him because the alternative was admitting I had made a terrible mistake. The second time, she made it further. 3 days in a motel 2 towns over. She had taken cash in small amounts over weeks, planned carefully, left while he was at work. He reported her as a missing person, told police she was mentally unstable, showed them fabricated text messages suggesting she was suicidal. When they found her, they brought her back to him. He cried in front of them, Saraphina said, voice completely flat. Thanked them for bringing his wife home safely. They told me I was lucky to have someone who loved me so much. After that, the violence escalated. She learned to lie convincingly, learned to wear makeup that concealed, learned to move carefully so nothing hurt more than necessary. I started planning again, more carefully this time, smarter. I knew I needed help, real help. That was why she was working the gala, why she was in the city at all. She had convinced Victor she needed a job because they were struggling financially. It was not true, but she made him believe it was his idea. She took catering work because it paid cash, because she could hide money without creating paper trails, because working events for wealthy people meant access to resources she might not find anywhere else. She was not just serving champagne that night. She was looking for someone who might be able to help her disappear. And then, I had followed her onto that balcony. I almost did not call you, she admitted. I thought it was dangerous, that you might know Victor somehow. But I looked you up, saw that you worked with lawyers, and I thought maybe you could help me do this the right way, legally, so he could not drag me back again. I did help her. I connected her with attorneys who specialized in domestic violence cases, paid for security at a safe house where Victor could not find her, hired investigators to document his behavior, used my family's connections for once to do something that actually mattered. The divorce took 8 months. Victor fought every step, made threats, sent messages through third parties, tried intimidation and manipulation, and every tactic that had worked before. But this time, Saraphina had resources, had protection, had people who believed her and fought for her. When it was finalized, she cried, not sad tears, relieved ones. I am free, she kept saying. I am actually free. Somewhere during those 8 months, between court dates and strategy sessions and late-night conversations where she processed years of trauma, we fell in love. Not the dramatic kind from movies, the quiet kind that builds slowly, the kind where you realize someone has become essential to your existence, and you cannot remember exactly when it happened. She moved into my apartment 6 months after the divorce. Small brownstone in Lincoln Park, nothing fancy. But it was ours. We were happy, genuinely, devastatingly happy in ways I had never experienced before. My family hated it. And that was where the real nightmare began. The first time I brought Saraphina to meet my mother, I knew it would be difficult. What I did not anticipate was the surgical precision of the dismantling that followed. It was a Sunday dinner, traditional Thornwood Aldridge gathering, the dining room with its mahogany table that seated 16, though only 4 of us were present that evening. Crystal chandeliers, china so delicate you were afraid to actually use it, staff hovering at appropriate distances, ready to refill wine glasses or remove plates at the slightest signal. My mother, Cordelia Thornwood Aldridge, sat at the head of the table like a queen presiding over court. 62 years old, but looking a decade younger. Silver hair styled perfectly, pearls at her throat, expression carefully neutral in that way that indicated sharp judgment happening beneath the surface. Dorian sat to her right. My younger brother wore his usual smirk, the one that said he was enjoying a show the rest of us had not realized was being performed. Saraphina sat beside me, wearing a simple navy dress, elegant but not expensive. She had insisted on buying it herself, refusing my offer to take her shopping. "I am not going to pretend to be something I am not," she had said. "If your mother cannot accept me as I am, then expensive clothes will not change that." She was right. But sitting there, watching Mother's eyes catalogue every detail with the precision of an appraiser evaluating merchandise, I wished Saraphina had let me help her armor up. "So, Saraphina," Mother cut into her salmon with perfect knife technique. "Caspian tells me you met at a charity event." "Yes, Ma'am. I was working catering that night." How industrious. The word landed like a blade wrapped in silk. "And what is it you do now?" "I am finishing my degree in education. I want to be a teacher." "A teacher." Mother repeated the word as if testing how it tasted. "How admirable. Public school, I assume?" "Yes. I think that is where I can make the most difference." Dorian snorted softly into his wineglass. Mother shot him a look that silenced him immediately. "And your family? Where are they from?" "Upstate, Millbrook, small town. My parents run a hardware store." "Charming." Mother's smile never reached her eyes. "Very salt of the earth. I am sure they are lovely people." The condescension dripped from every word. Seraphina's jaw tightened slightly, but she maintained her composure. "They are, actually. They taught me the value of hard work and honesty. I am grateful for that." "Of course you are." Mother set down her fork. "Tell me, what attracted you to my son? Beyond the obvious, naturally." The question hung in the air like poison gas, implying gold digging without actually saying the words. I started to intervene, but Saraphina spoke first. "He showed me kindness when I needed it most. He listened when I spoke instead of waiting for his turn to talk. He treated me like a person instead of a decoration or an inconvenience. Those qualities seem rare in certain circles." The last sentence landed with quiet defiance. Dorian actually laughed. "Oh, I like her. She has teeth." Mother's expression did not change. "Kindness is a wonderful quality, but marriage requires more than kindness, dear. It requires compatibility, shared values, common goals, understanding of expectations and responsibilities." "I understand that," Saraphina said. "Caspian and I have discussed our future extensively." "Have you?" Not a question. A statement loaded with doubt. "And in those discussions, did he explain what being a Thornwood Aldridge entails? The social obligations, the public scrutiny, the expectations that come with our family name?" "He mentioned some of it, yes." "Some of it." Mother picked up her wineglass, swirled it gently. "The reality is quite different from theory, I assure you. This family has a legacy spanning generations. We have built something significant, something that requires protection and careful stewardship. I am not trying to damage your legacy, Mrs. Aldridge." "I never suggested you were, deliberately." Mother took a delicate sip. "But damage can occur through incompatibility as easily as through malice. A Thornwood Aldridge wife is not simply a spouse. She represents the family in every interaction." "Mother," I interjected, "Saraphina is perfectly capable of—" "I am speaking to your guest, Caspian." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "Saraphina, you must understand, this life is not what you are accustomed to. The pressures, the expectations, the constant performance required. It destroys people who are not prepared for it." "Are you trying to scare me away?" Saraphina asked quietly. "I'm trying to be realistic with you, something my son, in his romantic haze, may not be capable of at the moment." Mother set down her glass. "Love is beautiful, but it is not always enough, and when it fails, the casualties affect families, businesses, reputations built over lifetimes. There are things more important than personal happiness." "We are not going to fail," I said. Mother looked at me with something that might have been pity. "You believe that now, but belief and reality are often very different things." The rest of the dinner passed in strained politeness. As we were leaving, Mother pulled me aside. "She is not right for you," Mother said flatly. "I understand the appeal, but those feelings are not a foundation for marriage. You do not know her. You did not even try. I know enough, and I am trying to protect you, but there are things more important than your personal happiness, family legacy, responsibility to those who came before us. She is what I want. Mother's grip tightened on my arm. Then I have nothing more to say on the matter, but remember this conversation, Caspian. When reality asserts itself, remember that I tried to warn you. I left angry but not afraid. I should have been terrified, because in my mother's eyes, I had seen something cold and calculating and absolutely determined. Cordelia Thornwood Aldridge had decided Saraphina was a problem, and my mother made problems disappear. I thought I could protect Saraphina from my family. I was catastrophically wrong. Despite my family's disapproval, Saraphina and I built something beautiful. We found a brownstone in Lincoln Park. 3 stories, old bones but good structure. It needed work, but that was part of the appeal. We could make it ours, shape it into something that reflected who we actually were instead of who my family expected us to be. Saraphina fell in love with it immediately. It has character, she said, running her hand along the original crown molding. It has stories in these walls. I can feel it. We spent weekends renovating, stripping wallpaper, refinishing floors, painting rooms in colors Mother would have found gauche, but that made Saraphina smile. Soft yellow in the kitchen, deep blue in the bedroom, a reading nook by the front window with built-in shelves. For all the books, Saraphina said. When we have children, I want them to grow up surrounded by stories. When we have children, not if. When. I loved watching her transform the space. She had opinions about everything. Where furniture should go. What kind of curtains would let in the right amount of light. How the living room should feel welcoming instead of formal. No museum pieces, she declared. I want a home where people actually live, where you can put your feet on the coffee table and not worry about ruining something priceless. It was revolutionary after growing up in the Aldridge mansion, where every object had historical significance and every room felt like a display. Saraphina enrolled in graduate school that fall. Education program. She attended classes during the day and came home energized, talking about teaching philosophy and classroom management and the kind of educator she wanted to become. I want to be the teacher who sees the kids everyone else overlooks, she said one evening. We were cooking together, something we did most nights. The ones who are quiet or struggling or just need someone to believe in them. You will be, I assured her. You already are that person. She had a habit of humming while she cooked, never full songs, just fragments of melodies. I never asked where they came from, just enjoyed the sound of contentment. Books appeared everywhere in our house, stacked on nightstands, piled on the coffee table, scattered across the kitchen counter. She read voraciously. I am making up for lost time, she explained. Victor did not like me reading, said it was a waste of time. Now I can read whatever I want, whenever I want. The freedom she felt was visible. She bloomed in ways I had not seen before, grew more confident, more herself. We developed morning rituals. She woke early, always before me. I would find her standing by the window with coffee, watching the city wake up. I still cannot believe this is real, she said one morning, that I get to have this life. We are both lucky, I replied. Let us try to remember that when things get hard. At the time, I thought she meant ordinary hard. Job stress, financial pressures, normal challenges. I did not understand she was already sensing the storm building on the horizon. When she worried about tuition costs, I reminded her we had resources. This is what money is for, I said. Investing in things that matter, and your education matters. She cried when I said that. Nobody has ever invested in me before. Not like this. Just say thank you and let me help. She did, and watching her pursue her passion, seeing her come alive in ways that had been suppressed for so long, that was worth more than any amount of money. We talked about children constantly. How many? What we would name them. What kind of parents we wanted to be. I want them to feel safe, Saraphina said. Always safe. I want them to know they are loved unconditionally. She would stand in the empty room we designated as the future nursery. Pale green, she decided, gender neutral, with stars on the ceiling and a rocking chair by the window. I would find her there sometimes, just standing in the doorway, smiling at something only she could see. The safety she finally felt was palpable. She walked differently, spoke differently. The constant vigilance that had characterized her movements during her marriage to Victor gradually faded. She relaxed, trusted, believed in the future we were building. I thought we had beaten the odds, thought love and commitment and shared dreams were enough to overcome family disapproval and class differences and all the other obstacles. For 18 months we were happy, genuinely, deeply happy. I proposed on a Tuesday. No grand gesture, no elaborate planning. Just us, in our kitchen, and me suddenly understanding that I wanted this forever. "Marry me," I said. She was chopping vegetables. She stopped, looked at me. "Are you serious?" "Completely. Your family will hate it." "I do not care." "Caspian, I love you. I want to build a life with you. I want children with you. I want to wake up next to you for the next 60 years. Everything else is just noise." She was crying. "Yes, yes, of course, yes." Simple ring. Nothing elaborate. Just us and promises we meant. We planned a small wedding. Her parents. A few friends. Nothing that required my mother's approval or participation. Mother did not attend. Sent a message through her assistant claiming a scheduling conflict. "She will never accept me," Saraphina said the night before our wedding. "Then she loses me," I replied. "You are my family now." We were married on a Saturday in October. Same month we met. We honeymooned for a week in a cabin upstate. No cell service, no obligations. Just us and the future we were building. When we returned, everything seemed perfect. For exactly 6 weeks. Then Saraphina started feeling sick in the mornings. Tired all the time. We bought a pregnancy test. 2 pink lines. We were going to have a baby. She cried. Happy tears. I thought I would never get to have this. A real family. One built on love instead of fear. We made plans. Started looking at bigger apartments. Discussed names. She wanted to wait until the 2nd trimester to tell her parents. Wanted to be sure everything was progressing safely first. We never got the chance, because my mother found out first, and then the poison began. The destruction started so small, I almost did not notice. A meeting that ran late. "Sorry, darling, Mother called an emergency board discussion. I will be home as soon as I can." A dinner I missed because of a crisis at the family investment firm. Something came up. Go ahead and eat without me. A weekend trip that got cancelled because of urgent business requiring my immediate attention. "I am so sorry. I will make it up to you, I promise." Small things. Individually, they meant nothing. Collectively, they formed a pattern I was too blind to see. My mother was a master strategist. She did not attack directly. Direct attacks created martyrs, strengthened bonds through shared adversity. Instead, she orchestrated circumstances, manufactured crises, created situations where I had to choose between Saraphina and family obligations. And she always framed it as duty, responsibility, the price of being a Thornwood Aldridge. "Your father would have understood," she said during one late-night phone call. "Family comes first. Personal desires are secondary to legacy." Board meetings multiplied. Family emergencies occurred with suspicious frequency. Business trips that absolutely required my presence became regular occurrences. I tried to balance everything. Tried to be present for Saraphina while meeting my family responsibilities. I failed at both. Saraphina never complained directly. She was not that kind of person. Instead, she went quiet. Stopped talking about her day. Stopped sharing her dreams. Stopped humming while cooking. "Are you okay?" I asked one evening after coming home to find her sitting in the dark. "Fine. Just tired." "School going well?" "Yes, fine." The distance in her voice should have alarmed me, should have triggered every warning system, But I was exhausted from juggling everything, convinced I could manage both worlds if I just tried harder. What I did not know was happening behind the scenes. I did not know about the private investigator my mother hired to follow Saraphina, to photograph her daily routines, to document her movements in ways that could be framed to suggest things that were not true. I did not know about the whisper campaign Mother launched in her social circles, painting Saraphina as an opportunist who had trapped a vulnerable man. I did not know about the lawyers she consulted, specialists in custody law and family court manipulation, and I especially did not know about the letter Saraphina had written to her parents. Long, excited letter telling them about the baby, about how happy she was, how scared, how hopeful, asking for their advice, sharing joy. She mailed it on a Tuesday morning, put it in the mailbox outside our house. It never arrived. My mother intercepted it. I still do not know exactly how. Bribed a postal worker maybe, or paid someone to watch our house. Some method that left no traces but achieved the desired result. She read that letter, learned about the pregnancy before I did, and she made a decision. 2 days later, Mother invited Saraphina to lunch. "I think we got off on the wrong foot," she said over the phone. Sweet, conciliatory. "I would like to try again, just us, woman to woman." Saraphina was hesitant but hopeful. She wanted family, wanted acceptance. I encouraged her to go. This is progress. She is trying. Meet her halfway. So Saraphina went to that lunch, and what my mother told her there destroyed everything. "You are pregnant." Not a question, a statement. Saraphina must have gone pale. "How did you—" "It does not matter how I know. What matters is what we do about it." Do about it? This is my child, Caspian's child. A baby that will complicate everything, bind my son to you permanently. Very strategic timing. I did not plan this. Intentions are irrelevant. Results are what matter. Mother leaned forward. This is what she told Saraphina. This is what I learned years later, when everything finally came out. Let me be very clear about your options. You can stay, keep the baby, remain married to my son, but if you do, I will make your life unbearable. I will destroy any career prospects you have. I will use every resource at my disposal to prove you are an unfit mother, and when I win custody, which I will, you will have nothing. No child, no husband, no future. You cannot do that. I absolutely can. I have resources you cannot imagine. Lawyers who specialize in exactly this kind of situation. Evidence can be manufactured. Witnesses can be convinced. The system favors money, dear, and I have more than you can comprehend. Caspian would never let you. Caspian would be devastated, but he would believe the evidence, especially when that evidence shows you married him for money and planned this pregnancy to secure your position. That is not true. Truth is what can be proven, and I can prove whatever I need to prove. Then Mother delivered the killing blow. Or you leave, quietly, completely. You disappear and never contact my son again. In exchange, I will allow you to keep the child. I will provide enough money for you to start over somewhere else. You will have your baby. You will have your freedom. All you have to give up is Caspian. Saraphina tried to fight, tried to argue, but Mother had prepared for every objection. If you truly love my son, you will leave, because staying will destroy him. The custody battle, the scandal, the public revelation of your past with Victor, all of it will crush him. He will fight for you, and it will cost him everything. His career, his reputation, his family. Is your love worth that price? And then, the final threat. And accidents happen, Saraphina, to people who make powerful enemies, to children whose mothers make poor choices. Think very carefully about what keeps your baby safest. She threatened my unborn child. My mother threatened my daughter before she was even born. Saraphina had a choice that was not really a choice at all. Stay and watch me be destroyed while risking our child, or leave and protect us both the only way she could. She chose to leave, not because she stopped loving me, because she loved me too much to let me be destroyed. 2 weeks later, I came home to an empty house, and the silence that greeted me would last 4 years. The house was not just empty, it was erased. Her clothes gone from the closet, her toiletries missing from the bathroom, books she had scattered everywhere, vanished. The coffee mug she always used, absent from the cabinet. Every trace of Saraphina removed with surgical precision. Except for one thing. Her wedding ring sat on the kitchen counter. Simple gold band. The symbol of promises we had made. She had left it behind. I called her phone immediately. Straight to voicemail. Called again. Same result. 20 more times. 50. Disconnected. I called her parents. Thomas answered, voice tight with worry. We have not heard from her in 3 weeks. She stopped returning our calls. Caspian, what happened? Where is she? I do not know. I came home and she is gone. Everything is gone. Marie got on the phone. This is not like her. She would not just leave. Something is wrong. But there was no evidence of anything wrong. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. No indication that anything had happened, except a woman choosing to walk away from her life. I filed a missing persons report. The police were polite, but ultimately unhelpful. She is an adult, sir. She took her belongings, left her wedding ring. It appears she left voluntarily. She would not do that, not without explanation. Sometimes people need to leave. If you hear from her and she is in danger, contact us immediately. But right now, there is nothing to investigate. I hired a private investigator, Jackson Hayes, former FBI. Expensive, thorough. He found nothing. No credit card usage, no bank activity, no paper trail. Saraphina had disappeared as completely as if she had never existed. She did not want to be found, Hayes said after 3 weeks. This level of vanishing takes planning, resources. She either had help or prepared very carefully. Keep looking. Mr. Thornwood, I have exhausted every avenue. She is gone. I am sorry. I called in favors, used family connections, asked everyone I knew to search. Nothing. Weeks became months. Months became a year. The searching became more desperate, then more hopeless, finally more routine. A habit I could not break, even though I knew it was futile. Her parents drove to the city every weekend those first 6 months. Thomas looked older every time I saw him. Marie stopped sleeping, stopped eating properly. Eventually, they stopped coming. The hope died in Marie's voice gradually, conversation by conversation, until there was nothing left except exhausted grief. I stopped sleeping in our bedroom, moved to the guest room because I could not look at the empty space beside me without something inside my chest collapsing. I stopped eating properly, lost weight I did not need to lose. Jonathan staged an intervention. You are destroying yourself. She left, Caspian. I am sorry, but she made a choice. You need to accept it and move forward. But how do you move forward when you do not understand what happened? When every question remains unanswered. The transformation happened slowly. The man who had been happy and hopeful died bit by bit. What remained was hollow, functional but empty. I threw myself into work with religious devotion. 14-hour days, 16, 18. If I was working, I was not thinking, not feeling, not drowning. I became exactly what my mother had always wanted. Cold, efficient, ruthless in business. The perfect Thornwood Aldridge heir. I am proud of you, Mother said during a board meeting about a year after Saraphina left. You have finally embraced your potential. I felt nothing hearing those words. No anger, no satisfaction, nothing. I sold the brownstone 18 months after she disappeared. Could not stand being there anymore. Every room was haunted. I moved into the penthouse. Sterile, expensive, empty. Let Mother hire decorators. Did not care what it looked like because home was not a place anymore. People tried to set me up. Well-meaning friends introducing me to appropriate women from appropriate families. I went through the motions occasionally. Dinner dates that led nowhere. Conversations that meant nothing. I stopped accepting invitations after a while. My life became simple. Work, sleep, exist, repeat. The private investigator I kept on retainer sent monthly reports. No activity, No sightings, no leads. I kept paying him anyway because stopping felt like giving up. If I could not have love, I would have everything else. Money, power, success, control over every aspect of my life except the one thing that mattered. 4 years. 4 years of not knowing whether she was alive or dead, whether she was happy or suffering, whether she thought about me or had erased me as completely as she had erased herself from my life. 4 years of telling myself lies to survive. That she had left because I was not enough. That our love had not been real. That I had imagined a connection we shared. 4 years of building walls around the broken pieces of my heart until I convinced myself I was fine. And then Dorian called on that Saturday morning. Lunch, Martello's, 1 o'clock, do not argue. I almost said no, but saying no required energy I did not have. So I went to the restaurant where Saraphina and I used to celebrate small victories and ordinary joys, to the place where everything would shatter, to the moment when I would discover that the woman I loved had not left at all. She had been stolen. If this story is already pulling at your heart, drop a comment telling me, have you ever had your entire world rewritten by a single moment of truth? And while you are at it, hit that like button. It helps more than you know, because what comes next is going to shake everything you thought you understood about family, power, and the lengths people will go to maintain control. Marcello's looked exactly as I remembered. Red checkered tablecloths, candles in wine bottles, the smell of garlic and basil, families crowded around tables, laughing and living their normal lives. I arrived at 12:45. The hostess seated me near the back. I ordered the Chianti we used to share and sat with my back to the wall, watching the door. Dorian was late. Of course he was. I checked my phone, responded to emails, tried to ignore the growing discomfort of being surrounded by happy families when my own life was carefully maintained emptiness. 1 o'clock came and went. No Dorian. I was about to leave when I heard it. A child's voice, high and clear, excited. Mummy, Mummy, look, they have the chicken nuggets I like. I glanced up reflexively, and my world stopped. Saraphina stood 15 feet away, shorter hair than I remembered, thinner, wearing jeans and a simple sweater, but unmistakably her. And beside her, holding her hand with complete trust, was a little girl. 3 years old, maybe 4, dark curly hair, pink dress with flowers, small backpack shaped like a ladybug, and eyes, grey-green eyes, the exact shade that stared back at me from mirrors every morning. The same slight downward tilt at the corners, the same unusual colour that my father had, and his father before him. My eyes, copied onto a child I had never seen before. The wine glass slipped from my hand. I caught it, but wine splashed onto the white tablecloth, spreading like blood. I could not breathe, could not think, could not do anything except stare. Saraphina lifted the child onto her hip with practiced ease. Natural, comfortable, like they had done this dance thousands of times. Mummy, I want the chicken nuggets. That word, Mummy, delivered with complete trust and affection. Something detonated in my chest. I stood without deciding to stand, moved toward them without conscious thought. Saraphina sensed my approach, turned. Our eyes met. The color drained from her face. She actually stumbled backward, nearly dropping the child. Caspian, my name in her voice, the voice I had heard in dreams for 4 years. You are alive. The words came out strangled. You are here. You are... My eyes dropped to the child, to those impossible eyes staring at me with curiosity. Who is this? Seraphina's arms tightened around the girl. Protective. You need to leave. Please, just leave. Who is this child? The little girl looked between us, sensing tension. Mummy? Who is that man? Nobody, sweetheart. Nobody important. Those words, nobody important. They landed like physical blows. How old is she? My voice was shaking. Saraphina, how old is she? It does not matter. You need to go, now. But I was already doing the math. The child looked 3, maybe 4, which meant conception would have been right before Saraphina disappeared. Is she mine? The question came out as a whisper. Is she my daughter? Saraphina's eyes filled with tears. Please do not do this. Not here. Not now. The little girl pulled a piece of paper from her backpack. Crayon drawing. A house with a too big sun. 2 stick figures holding hands. Rainbow across the top. Look, Mummy. I drew this at daycare. That is beautiful, baby. Saraphina's voice cracked. We will hang it on the fridge. This one is you. The girl pointed at the taller stick figure. And this one is me. And this is our house. And a rainbow because rainbows are pretty. Our house. Not a house. Our house. What is your name? I asked directly. The little girl looked at me with those eyes that were mirrors of my own. I am Elara Seraphine Marlowe. I am 3.5, almost 4. My birthday is in 2 months and I want a puppy, but Mummy says we have to wait. Elara Seraphine Marlowe, 3.5 years old, conceived before Saraphina left. My daughter who did not know I existed. Saraphina. I could barely speak. We need to talk, right now. There is nothing to talk about. Nothing to... I gestured at Elara. She is my child. How is there nothing to talk about? People were starting to stare. Saraphina noticed, always aware of causing scenes. Outside, 5 minutes. Let me get her settled. She spoke to the hostess. Quiet conversation. The woman nodded and took Elara's hand. We have coloring books in the back, sweetheart. Want to come pick your favorite? Elara looked at her mother for permission. Saraphina nodded, managed a smile that did not reach her eyes. I will be right here, baby. Just going to talk to this man for a minute. Okay, Mommy. Elara went with the hostess, chattering about coloring books, oblivious to the bomb detonating around us. Saraphina and I stepped into the alley beside the restaurant, dumpsters and delivery entrance, not private, but isolated enough. Explain. I was shaking. Explain everything, right now. You were not supposed to find us. I was so careful. Find you? You disappeared. 4 years, Saraphina. 4 years I thought you left because I was not enough. I did not want to leave. The words exploded from her. I never wanted to leave, but I had no choice. Everyone has a choice. Not when the choice is between losing everything and protecting your child. Tears streamed down her face. Not when your husband's mother threatens to destroy you and take your baby unless you disappear completely. The world tilted. What? Your mother knew I was pregnant before you did. She intercepted my letter to my parents. She invited me to lunch and told me exactly what would happen if I stayed. She said she would prove I was an unfit mother, that she would win custody, that she had resources I could not fight. My mother. She gave me an ultimatum. Leave quietly and keep my baby, or stay and lose everything, including the child. That is insane. She would not. She absolutely would, and she did. Saraphina was sobbing now. She told me if I truly loved you, I would leave. That staying would destroy you. That the custody battle would ruin your career. That the scandal would crush you. I would have fought. I know. That is why I left, because I could not let you sacrifice yourself. I could not watch your mother destroy you because of me. And she threatened Elara. She said accidents happen to children whose mothers make poor choices. She threatened our baby before she was even born. I leaned against the brick wall, felt my legs giving out. Where have you been? These 4 years. Here, in the city. Different neighborhood. I changed my name back to Marlowe, got a job teaching, raised our daughter alone. You were here the whole time. I thought if I stayed close, maybe one day, when Elara was older, when your mother could not threaten us anymore, maybe we could... She stopped. It does not matter now. My phone buzzed. I looked down. Text from Dorian. Sorry, forgot about lunch. Mother needed me for something. Rain check? Forgot. Or was told to cancel. Another text. From Mother. We need to talk. Come to the house tonight. 7 p.m. Do not be late. She knew. Of course she knew. the lunch invitation, this specific restaurant, running into Saraphina. None of it was accident. It was orchestrated. My mother had arranged for me to find them, which meant she was ready for her next move. She knows, I said quietly. She arranged this, all of it. Seraphina's face went white. No, this is bad. We need to go, we need to fight, together. I'm not losing you again. I'm not losing another day with my daughter. You do not understand what she is capable of. Then help me understand. Tell me everything, and we will find a way to stop her. Seraphina looked at me. 4 years of fear and exhaustion and desperate survival in her eyes. What if we cannot stop her? What if she takes Ilara anyway? Then we fight harder. We do not stop. We never stop. From inside the restaurant, I could hear Ilara laughing. My daughter, 3.5 years old, perfect and innocent and completely unaware that her world was about to change forever. Her full name, I said. What is her legal name? Seraphina hesitated. Ilara Seraphine Marlowe. I kept my maiden name. I thought it would be safer, harder for your mother to find us. But she found you anyway. Or she always knew where we were and was just waiting. That thought made my blood run cold. What if my mother had been watching all along, documenting, building a case, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? We need help, I said. Legal help. Jonathan can... Your friend, the lawyer? The one who works for firms your mother has connections with? She was right. I could not trust my usual resources. Could not use people who might report back to mother. Then we find someone else, someone she does not control, someone who specializes in cases like this. Cases like what? Mothers fighting billionaires for custody? We will lose, Caspian. People like your mother do not lose. She has not fought me before, not really. Not when I am willing to burn everything down to protect what matters. And what happens to Ilara while you are burning? While your mother is dragging us through court and destroying my reputation and painting me as an unfit parent? I did not have an answer for that. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I had lost 4 years with my daughter. I had missed her first steps, her first words, her first day of school. Every milestone stolen by my mother's manipulation. I was not losing another moment, whatever it took, whatever it cost, whatever I had to destroy or sacrifice or burn. I was getting my family back,